Roger Christopherson here again with another first listen review, or should I say, like fifth or sixth review at this point, because this album has been released a few times. They always seem to add something new to it, however. I'm talking about Yes's album, the Yes album. This actually happens to be one of my favorites Yes albums ever recorded. It's got some of my all-time favorites on here, like Starship Trooper, and Yours Is No Disgrace might actually be my favorite Yes song like ever. Ugly People is one of the songs that I loved. I've heard it so many times now that I probably never need to hear it again, but it's really a good song. I do like it. Perpetual Change, I think, is a great song. So, I mean, they got that one song on here, Clap, which is just kind of a guitar thing, but, it's got some of their classic stuff on here. They still played the last time I saw them, which was a few years ago. I haven't seen them with their newest singer, John Davidson. I saw them with that Benoit dude, and I cannot think of his first name now, who sang with them for just a really small period of time. I got to see them on that tour. And that was the last time I saw them, but, they're still doing some of these songs, today. So anyway, so basically what this one is, it's 4 CD, 1 Blu-ray, and an LP. The cool thing about it is it's housed like a regular album. It's got a really hard cover on it. You open it up, and it's got all the discs laid out in it really nicely. They clip in. They don't have little cases they slip in and out of, and that's one thing I like when they have these, like, they actually have the little pop-in inserts where they sit firmly. They don't have to slide in and out of stuff, which is cool. The part that's not so cool about this is they have the Blu-ray in a paper sleeve, kind of like tucked into the inside open the cover into these little slots, and so when you go to get it out, you got to really either bend it or chance ripping the front cover, and you got to be really careful getting this thing out of here because it's in there pretty tight. And also the LP stuck down inside that same cover, and it's in there pretty good and tight. So be careful if you haven't gotten this yet and you get it. Don't just go tearing the record out and the Blu-ray out unless you don't care if you rip it, because it might happen. So my only real complaint about it is, and there's a cool little write-up inside the LP sleeve there from Steven Wilson, and then there's another one on the making of the album and all that. So not a whole lot of extra stuff with this, which is fine with me. I don't really usually care about all the little trinkets and colored vinyl and all that stuff. I usually just care about the music. And the unfortunate thing, because I won't be talking about the Blu-ray too much here, is because I don't have the 5.1 setup. I don't have Atmos. I don't know anybody I know has the Atmos setup. If any of you guys out there have it and you've heard any of this stuff, please comment. Tell us if it's worth it. I know we're all told by the people in the industry that it's amazing, but I haven't really heard anything from just the normal people like us that go out and buy this stuff and have nothing to listen to it on. Is it worth the investment? I don't know. I don't know anybody that has it. So the surround sound, I'm sure, is, but I can't give you anything on the Atmos stuff because I don't see myself getting that anytime soon either. But also on here we got the 2014 remixes that Steven Wilson did and the instrumentals that he did back in 2014. And that's like the last version of this I got was back then. And I really like the Steven Wilson stuff. He's also the one, by the way, that did the remixes, the Atmos mix, the 5.1 stuff on the Blu-ray. So I'm sure that's really good, because the thing I like about Steven Wilson, in case you've never heard me mention this in any of my other stuff, is he doesn't go in there and say, I'm going to make my own mix of this stuff. He listens very carefully to what the original was, and he does everything in his ability to not lose that feel and that what they have there, but just to bring out some of the stuff that's maybe buried a little bit, and highlight some of the stuff that maybe should have been brought up further in the mix and they weren't able to, with the technology they had back then. He doesn't, drastically change the mix at all. He just makes little tweaks, from what I've listened to, and I've seen interviews with him, and this is what he says in his interviews, that he really tries to stay very faithful to the original, with just enhancing it with the stuff that he hears in there that maybe thought maybe should have been in there a little bit better, or maybe some stuff is a little bit, if you got something that's like really overpowering everything else, you may bring that down a little bit, but he doesn't change a whole lot, but you can know that something is different, and it does feel a lot crisper and cleaner, a little bit more separation in the instruments, and I don't know, it just sounds like more clear to me anyway. And then you get into the disc 3 with all the rarities, and there's a bunch of singles, and there's a lot of mono mixes on here. But it's all been, well, not all of it. Most of it's been remastered. And there's a couple extra songs that have not been available before at the very end here. Unfortunately, the recording of those did not sound very good to me. It doesn't sound like they did very much with those. The remasters, of course, sound fine. The remaster of the original, I didn't notice a whole lot of difference between that one and the 2014 remixes from the last one. I did not go back and listen to the original master of this, which I probably should have, but like I mentioned, I've been like sick as a dog this week, and I don't even know where my original of that is at this point, so I did not dig that out. With the amount of CDs I have, I've kind of like got stuff a little bit out of place, and I don't know where the original of this is, so I didn't have it to compare it to. I did listen to it. It does sound like very similar to the 2014 remix and remaster that they did back then, so I don't know what I couldn't really pick out anything really specific from that remaster to this remaster. I didn't listen to it on a super high volume like I sometimes do, just to see if there's anything that maybe doesn't come through in the mix, because a lot of times with these remasters you get to hear a lot more separation, a lot more clarity, but it tends to lose a lot of the oomph in the bottom end, from what I've noticed in a lot of remasters. Just a generic statement across the board. That's kind of what I've noticed. So I don't usually get too excited about the remasters myself, but we've got the original if we ever want to go back and listen to that anyway. But the thing I was really excited about on this one was disc 4, which is the live stuff taken from a couple different concerts, both in 1971 was recorded a few weeks before they released the album, and one was about half a year after the album was released. The first 3 songs on here are from Gothenburg, Sweden. They got, it's hard to explain this without like saying anything negative. The band sounds great. As far as the recording of it goes, you can hear everything fine, but it just sounds distant. And I don't know how else to explain. I've been trying to think of a way to explain this better. As I was listening to it, I'm like, how am I going to explain what this sounds like? It sounds like you're the guy standing in the concert recording the bootleg, and then you go home and listen to that bootleg, and that's kind of what it sounds like. Even though you can hear everything like really well, you can hear all the instruments playing really well, it just sounds distant. And even the live at the Yale Bowl, New Haven, Connecticut songs sound a little bit like that at points. The majority of that sounds a little bit more clear. It sounds like more like it was taken off the board, which I'm assuming these were, but it just has a bootleg feel to it, which I can't explain very well, which unfortunately just kind of takes away from the excitement of it. Although it's fun to listening to it, they sound great playing. There's nothing bad about the musicianship of it. It just that the recording itself just kind of sounds like it took a little bit of the life out of the music. So it's my only negative thing I'll say. You guys might disagree with me on that one. If you listen to this, feel free to state your opinions on it. Maybe I'm just hearing things because my ears are plugged from all the cold medicine and whatever, I don't know, but that's the way it sounded to me. Unfortunately, I am a little bit under the weather, so that could be what's affecting it, but I don't think so. I think because everything else that I listened to sounded kind of clear on the earlier stuff here. The other thing I mentioned I wanted to just kind of mention is, I don't understand like why bands do this instrumental stuff. Just my personal little thing here. I see a lot of bands doing this. They'll throw in a bonus disc of just instrumental versions of it, and just my personal thought on that is, I don't understand why they do it, because the band had a vision when they released this music originally, and that included vocals. That is like their final vision and version of what they wanted us to hear. So for me, the instrumental seems like you're just kind of like blowing off the singer for some reason. I don't know even why I'm going off on this tangent, but so for me, I probably won't go back, and I never have, even on the other stuff, the earlier releases where it's just instrumental stuff. I can get it if it's a take that they did in the studio where they didn't have the vocals there and they're laying down the vocal, or they're laying down the instrumental, and then John might come in and do some vocals over the top of it. I get it if they're doing that, but that's not what they did on this one. They just did a completely separate mix of the completed songs without the vocals, and that's what I don't get. I get it if they're doing like a, just a run through, and vocals weren't part of it at that point or were written or something like that, and you get kind of part of the writing process and you want to hear how the song is built. I understand that way, but not this way. So anyway, that's just my little thing on it. See, this is going kind of longer than I planned it, but yeah, well, it's Yes. Why not talk about Yes, one of the best bands out there, I think. And, it's just another version of the album, but I'm going to buy every version of this that's put out there. I like the extra stuff on here, and I'll be listening to this again, I'm sure, for the next couple weeks. So anyway, feel free, as always, to share your thoughts on this one and, anything I might have mentioned. And like, share, and subscribe, and just keep this music out there. And get these younger kids out there listening to Yes. I mean, I make my kids listen to it, so why not? Anyway, talk to you guys in the next one. See ya.